So lately we've been discussing releasing control, which is actually a psychological thing. And by that I mean certain beliefs identified with in mind perpetuate the appearances of control or needing to control in our lives. This control can appear as certain circumstances in our lives or certain unnecessary behaviors. And what we're interested in here is to unconditionally allow the power of your subconscious mind to take care of everything for you in its all-wise and all-loving ways, to bring forth your consciously chosen vision. As we say, acceptance of the end wills the means. Simple acceptance, like that's the way it is, the way you imagine it is. So today I'd like to go deeper into this, and I trust you'll find it to be very helpful, and you'll also find that it will bring about emotional relief, if applicable, which is a result of letting go of unnecessary control. Here we have the Robert Dilts logical levels, a number of layers. On the top we have vision, then identity, then values and beliefs, then behaviors, capabilities, and environment. Vision refers to the desired imaginal experience. It could be an ideal relationship, or an ideal business, or an ideal lifestyle, whatever you'd like. And you can have many visions representing the various areas of your life. For further elaboration, I recommend my vision video. I'll link in the description to it, which also refers to this model. Identity refers to how you imagine yourself to be in relation to your vision. Whatever physical or mental attributes, even emotional relatability style in relation to the different appearances of life, which could include relationships, environments, behaviors, even physical aspects, as in what you're wearing, how you're carrying yourself, etc. The identity layer, or we could say self-image or concept of self layer, provides valuable insight as to the degree we are or are not currently embodying physically, mentally, emotionally, the character of life that is one with that vision. This is where we can start looking at it from two perspectives. How are we truly being now in character in relation to how we imagine ourselves to be? And where are we subconsciously controlling by not allowing ourselves to be the character we see ourselves to be ideally? This is the control that we are looking to let go of. Now keep into consideration that this can also be done by feeling your way through life or intuition. You don't really need this model. As a matter of fact, you don't need anything. The unseen does everything. This model is helpful in bringing awareness to and releasing unnecessary control in relation to your vision to allow the unseen power to do everything for you. So you can have a vision in life, or you could be guided by intuition or ideal feeling. They all work, whatever is resonant for you, because they all imply the same thing, which is actually a vision of allowing yourself to be how you truly desire to be. And I've seen this all work because it all implies the same thing. Then we have values and beliefs. These values and beliefs make up our identity. It is a more granular approach to understanding the identity, which includes the concept of the self in relation to the vision and in relation to the other layers, which is how we relate to our world. These beliefs, although subconscious, are revealed by what we think, how we emotionally relate, how we behave, and also the appearances of life. That's what this world is. The world of appearances, or we could say experiences. It is a film strip of appearances that appears animated, and it's animated by the unseen power. And we at any moment access this power to change the appearances. And we need not worry about how it changes, because that will be control. And here we are discussing releasing that unnecessary control, because the changes are done for us by the unseen. So we know what we are believing to be true, how we are subconsciously directing the power via the beliefs in mind, by what we think, how we emotionally relate, and how it appears physically in the following layers. So consider that the following layers reveal clues to the degree of congruence to the vision and identity. And by this I mean, you don't force yourself to be congruent. You simply let go of the unnecessary control that causes the appearances of being unnecessarily distracted, controlling, forcing, or manipulating ourselves or others to do things, which instead everything appears congruently in synchronicity with your vision because everything is done for you by the unseen power of your subconscious mind. This power is all-wise and all-loving and has ways of bringing forth your vision, which can go beyond or may include the beliefs in mind, as so many of those beliefs could be helpful. The ones that direct the power ideally, I'd say, are helpful. So when it comes to letting go, I'm referring to specific unnecessary controlling beliefs in mind. So now let's talk about the following layers which help us reveal unnecessary control. We have capabilities which can be looked at as skill, if applicable, to your vision. Let's say one sees themselves as a professional athlete or a musician. This is whatever skills to be cultivated. Again, we are either embodying them or we are not, and to what degree? The degree of where one is not allowing themselves to embody them reveals the controlling belief and the degree of identification to that belief. A belief may be held lightly or in varying degrees up to a dogmatic level of conviction. If they release identification to that belief with respect to the capability in question, skill cultivation becomes blissful. Then we have behaviors. This can be looked at as observation of body language, for example, in public speaking, habits in terms of whatever during the day, such as steps taken, if applicable, in relation to your vision. The question is, like with capabilities, where are we controlling unnecessarily in relation to these? Then finally, we have environment, which includes people, information, circumstances, places we're going, etc. This again reveals what we could be unnecessarily controlling and where we can let go of that unnecessary control if applicable. So now, all of these layers, you actually transcend them all. If I were to put a place where you truly are, as in your true self, you would be above all of this up here. And that stated, you are the observer of it all. This means, in this context, you have the ability to apply this model as a guide to observe where there is unnecessary control in relation to these three layers here, in relation to your vision and identity, how you see yourself ideally. The bottom three layers happen automatically by the unseen, by releasing control, which is again caused by specific beliefs in mind. Now, I've been consulting for many years, since 2013. Actually, even I did some prior since 2009. And I used exactly what I'm explaining here to always, without fail, determine where the unnecessary control is in relation to all of these layers for myself and others. The reason why this works so well and easily is because, as we discussed earlier, once you accept that you already are the person that you desire to be, and your vision is fact in imagination, it's automatically added onto you. And since you are beyond this model, that is what is referred to as the formless self, which simply means you are beyond all of this. Thus, you have all the power to change all of this, even if you don't currently know how. You being one with it all, from the observer perspective, you can change appearances in these three layers by simply releasing any unnecessary control in relation to them, which allows everything to happen automatically to realize your vision. And why am I discussing releasing control so much lately? Well, from a spiritual perspective, we're taught to seek first the kingdom, and all these things shall be added onto you. We're also taught that the kingdom of heaven is within you. And so you are here, above it all, in heaven now. And when you say that this is the way you are in your vision, it's done for you. All that is ideal in relation to your vision with respect to these three layers is actually being added onto you, and any unnecessary appearance of control on the journey to realizing your vision is generated by subconscious control-based beliefs that are identified with. So by letting go, I simply mean letting go of all these unnecessary beliefs in these layers, not in harmony with your vision and your identity, which is one with your vision. This allows the journey to be more flow-based, effortless, and blissful. As I always say, you can get to the realization of your vision in an effortless, flow-based, blissful way, or the opposite, which we could call stress and frustration, which is a lot of times a symptom of unnecessary control. Simply put in the Bible, as you believe, so it shall be done unto you. And in this context, I related to being done unto you the way you would like, either through controlling beliefs that play out, for example, as stress and frustration, and or the appearances that correspond to those beliefs, or bliss and flow, and or the appearances that correspond to those beliefs. You have a choice. So now, if you would like to have a more blissful, flow-based journey to realizing your vision, a lot of this has to do with letting go of unnecessary control. So let's talk about how you can do it. Let's say, for example, a person desires ideal relationships, and yet in the environment layer, they look at their current relationships and they don't appear to be congruent with ideal relationships. So now, generally speaking, what we find is the greater our attachment to the world of appearances, the greater the appearance of control, and this control is caused by beliefs. So if that person believed there was no need to control anything, they would allow the world of appearances to change somehow to reflect their vision. They wouldn't look for confirmation that would say otherwise. They would accept the world of appearances as is. And by accepting it as is, they're actually allowing the unseen power to change everything so it could reflect their vision. This is what I mean when I say often, there's no need to lift a finger, it's done for you. It's a nuance point. It means you don't have to unnecessarily control. When you're flowing towards your vision, inner and outer are experienced as one, and you observe how everything happens naturally and automatically to realizing your vision. So now, how do we release this control? Well, there are many ways. Any belief change protocol will do it. And if we're not able to bring to awareness what the specific belief is, like you would do with a counselor, therapist, or friend, we can facilitate that release at a thought and or emotional level. So for example, in relation to conversational belief change, which is what my subconscious mind program is about, I used to be afraid of public speaking. And I actually experienced heavy anxiety that would build up from Monday all the way till Saturday morning. And I used to do these events Saturdays and Sundays back in 2010. It was specifically the fear of rejection and criticism that generated the anxiety. So it's not the rejection or criticism or the appearances of that, we could say, but the fear of that, which was the unnecessary control, which was being experienced as anxiety for me. So I used self-talk and autosuggestion to release identification to those beliefs. I was able to discover how I was subconsciously trying to control the world of appearances in a not so ideal way. Because the vision was to speak comfortably with the audience, and it was in the process of being realized. However, I was experiencing subconscious control by identifying with a fear-based belief in relation to rejection and criticism. So again, it is not the rejection or criticism or the appearances of what we would define as rejection or criticism. It was the belief of fear in relation to it that was creating the anxiety. So to apply this at a thought level, it's really well described in the 7-Day Mental Diet video I did this year, which I'll link to in the description. The premise really is, it is not the controlling thoughts in relation to the 3 layers here that matter, but the dwelling in them that perpetuates the identification of the, let's say, for example, fear-based belief in relation to the appearances. If we no longer identify with the unnecessary controlling thoughts in relation to the appearances or the world of appearances in general, the identification to that belief or belief system or beliefs is released. Then we have the emotional way of applying this, which is simply allowing the emotions to be, letting it flow through you by observing it without trying to suppress or label it during the process. And why I suggest not labeling it during the process is that if one labels their emotions as bad or not good or problematic during the process, they may try to resist or suppress it further. Emotions are energy in motion, and they are experienced by how we subconsciously relate to them. This explains why now I love public speaking rather than fearing it. I'm still feeling the emotion, yet it is experienced differently now. By practicing this, we also develop a healthy relationship with emotions by letting them be, which also releases controlling beliefs, and the emotions are experienced lovingly. So your emotions, thoughts, and mind are not problematic, implying that they are perpetuates the appearance of problems, prolonging suffering, which can easily be transcended by mere observation. This releases the unnecessary control, exactly like how we discussed today. You are here, on the journey to realizing the vision. You are aware of, via your thoughts and emotions, of any form of unnecessary control in relation to these areas, and you can easily release that control in one of these ways or a combination. Do what works best for you in relation to the appearance. I may do one or another or a combination. They all work perfectly. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You could say, I'm easily aware of my thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in relation to the different aspects of the journey to realizing my vision, acknowledging, in the process, that everything is done for me, as I surrender all control to the all-loving and all-wise, unseen power within me to bring forth my vision in the play of life in mutual harmony and benefit with all. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.